Hello viewers, today we're going to be working on a Marvin window fan. This is the model 239W Premier Screen Fan. I believe this is a product of the 80s, and this one is in exceptionally good condition. I had one of these many years ago. In fact, it was one of the first vintage fans I bought at a tag sale. And that fan I used for many years in the bedroom because at the previous house the windows did not open tall enough to use a box fan. So something like this was the only option. And so for many summers this spent, well, not this particular one, but one of these spent its time moving the warm summer breeze through the bedroom. Anyways, this one is not running too well at all. Go ahead and plug this in real quick so you can see what it does. It's I don't think it really operates at all. In fact, yeah, the bearings are going to lock up there, so it needs to be serviced. I think this has very few hours on it and it looks very clean, so we should be able to get it running pretty good again. I do believe the blades would have been like a shiny chrome on the other side as well, but it's going to take a long time to get them, polish them up and get it back to that state. I'm not going to do that today. We'll just make it run again so I can use it. I know I have the original one somewhere. I just can't find it. It's in here somewhere, or it's at the other location. It's not gone. It's still around, but I just don't know where it is at the moment. So anyways, let's get into this here. It does have oil ports. You can oil it without taking it apart, but I'm going to take it apart and clean everything out. These oil ports are kind of dumb because the screw is in the way, so the oil would have to go through the hole and then onto the screw and then off the screw and then down into it. So it would have to be perfectly vertical, when you put the oil in. That's kind of dumb, but that's what it is. So, I mean, these were pretty cheap fans. These were not anything to write home about, but the performance was really quite good for the size. Whoops the air on quite well. Alright, let's get these off. Okay, so let's go from the other side. Some common screws on the other side. This out and make it a little bit practical. I don't have too many common bits in here. I think I only got 2. I don't use common screws too much anymore. Okay, that should release the fan from the screen. I think. Okay, now it's released. just going to set this aside for now because we're not going to do anything with this video. Alright, now we have the motor and the fan blades. So it's held on. That sound brings back so many memories. Because that's the other one that I have. The bearings is really worn out and it would just sit there and do that all night long. But it kept me cool. Okay, so we have a this is some kind of an Allen key, but I think, or I know rather, it's very difficult to access it, so I'm going to try doing this instead. Try to get one of these bits to fit in there. This one. Let's see. Not too big. Too small. Okay. Well, that's not going to work because those are the only two sizes I have. So let's try these. That'll work. No, I just have to something to get more mechanical advantage on there. Okay, that should do it. Flexible. Let's try doing this. Hopefully this will fit. Will it reach in there? Yeah, just barely. These I don't think were really intended to be serviced. These are probably more of the just toss it out disposable fans of the day, which is a shame, but that's what they were. Okay, here we go. There's their blade. It's kind of odd how only two of the blades are dusty. It's actually really odd. Huh. Unless this is just... no, it comes right off. Okay, so we'll give that a quick cleaning. That's easy. Alright, now we have the motor in here. And I think this is just press fit into here, which is super cheap, but I'm fairly certain that's the way it is. So you should be able to just pull this up and work it out, I think. No, we got two bolts here we gotta undo first. Okay, so it's not press fit, then it's bolted up. Those are a little dirty, I guess we should clean those off. Probably should clean this off as well. Alright, so we're going to do some cleaning here, more than I thought. Okay, so now, after that, we can take these screws off to remove the guard. And the guard should be cleaned as well. It's kind of yucky. And so then here's the motor. Now, the motor is, it doesn't look too cool, but anyways, I don't like the way these windings are. They're not really, they should be really tight together, and a couple of these wires are kind of loose, so that should be probably revarnished at some point, but I'm not going to get into that today. So now, it looks like there's a plethora of lubrication on here, but I guess none of it's where it needs to be, because clearly we're having a lubrication issue with these bearings. It's like oil everywhere but where it should be. I wonder if this was used in a kitchen, because everything is very sticky. It's got like that kind of a greasy film over it. Typical like oil from a kitchen or something. Alright, let's see if I can get this motor to come apart. I think this will come apart. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see how it's connected, but it doesn't seem like it got any looser. And we got to make a mental note here that the front of the motor is the opposing side to where the wires come out. If you put it back in the wrong way, it'll turn the other way. I suppose, in theory, you could reverse this, put the blade on the other way, and have it be an exhaust fan if you wanted to. Because the blade could go on either way, so I guess you could do that if you had a use case. Alright, now here's a problem. I don't think that the bearings are going to come off. While I don't see anything necessarily keeping them together, they're not loose at all. So maybe they're jammed onto that thing there, and that's going to keep them from coming off. Yeah, those are solid on there. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, it was stuck onto that it was stuck onto that piece there. How much oil is in this thing? There's oil everywhere but where it's supposed to be. What a joke. There's oil everywhere. This whole thing needs to be washed. What a freak show. I didn't realize this was so messy. Maybe that's why the blades are sticky, because there's oil everywhere. Yeah, you know what? I can see it. You can see here on this blade, all those lines, that's oil spewing out from the shaft, and that's why the dust accumulated like that, because it was sticky. I don't know if this was over-oiled at some point, or it just came like that. I don't know, but at some point there was too much oil put in this thing. Is that a thermal switch? Huh. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, it is. It's a resetting one, too. Well, I'll be. Look at that right there. A resetting thermal switch. I had no idea these had thermal protection in them. Probably says thermally protected right now. Yep, it does. This motor is thermally protected. There. Okay, well, I guess I wasn't expecting to see a proper resetting switch in there. Huh. Well, it goes to show even the cheapest fans back in the day still had some sense built into them. And I mean, we got it open and, you know, we can service it. It just wasn't Easy. Alright. I mean, it doesn't really matter if there's oil all in here. It shouldn't be like that, but it's not going to really cause any issues. There's certain cleaners that you can use up against windings. I forget which ones they are offhand, but they do exist, and that's what should be used in here to really get this cleaned up. But that's more of a hassle than I want to deal with today. Today I just want to clean it up on the outside and get it running, and then someday we can revisit this and do a better job cleaning out the stager here. I'm not going to put a lot of hours on this, I just want to use it a couple times just for nostalgia. Okay, so let's get everything cleaned out here. Ah, jeez, there's 2 nicks in the shaft. Wish I saw that before I took it off. Well, let's see what I can do here. It's going to take some time to do this without having the thing on. Real easily done when the motor is running still. Oh, okay, I guess that was good enough. Alright, so here's the rotor. It's a very industrial looking piece of equipment. And get everything nice and cleaned off here. And looks like there's a foam washer there. Okay. Well, the bearings are pretty clean. I guess they're just dry. I don't know if these have expanded over time or what the deal is with these wicks, but I mean realistically they're not going to do a whole lot because they don't even contact the bearing half the way around. So that's not quite proper. And that's riveted in. I don't know how you'd replace that. It's very hard too. I don't think it's even going to absorb any oil. Well, that could be part of why these fans have so many problems. That was kind of stuck on there. You know, if the wick is like that and it doesn't work properly, that could provide some insight as to why these always have bearing issues. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, that doesn't look right to me. I think that's having a problem. I wonder too if replacing these washers would quiet them down a bit. It probably would. I've heard some people say if you replace these washers or add an additional one as the wear happens, it will quiet it down. So that may be something to try on the other one. This is a sticky mess. All these parts need to be wet washed to get this off of here properly. Everything's got like a sticky, dried up oil residue on it. No, that's not really going to affect the performance, but it shouldn't be like that. But we'll have to revisit this one and clean it better another day. I got other things to do today. I can't be spending all this time on this. Yeah, see, I think there was wicking material in there, and it's turned into like a sticky, almost like a rubbery kind of consistency material. And that's just not going to work. It's probably clogged up the bearing pores, and it's just a disaster. So that probably the bearing should be pulled out, and all that material in there should be replaced. I think that's what needs to happen, because I can oil this up, but it's not gonna hold long term, I don't think. Let's see if this even takes any oil in, if it just sits on the surface. Oh, it's taking the oil. Well, I don't know if it's really going to seep into the bearing over time, or if it'll just dry out. Because look at that, it's all sticky and gross on the other side. So something's not right about that. It's really not. And this one you can even see here towards the center, where the oil would have been, it's turned black. So I wonder if they used the wrong kind of oil, or just a really cheap oil on this. I think all this time a lot of people have been saying, oh, they got cheap bearings in them. Maybe it's just a lubrication system issue. Could not even be a bearing problem. Even the best bearings, if you don't put oil in them, they're not going to work. Alright, I'm going to take a break to do some cleaning. Or I guess we could, yeah, I'm going to do some cleaning, then we'll come back and put it back together. I'm fairly certain this was a situation where the previous owner over-oiled it with the wrong kind of oil, because when I was cleaning it, I noticed there was a lot of sticky residue right up here, and there was kind of like a drip line that went down and around. So I think they put way too much oil in it, and it probably was like a detergent oil, like a motor oil or something like that, because that's what it does over time. It turns into that gross substance we saw on there. So let's put this back together now. I think these bearings are identical, so it shouldn't matter which one was on the front, which one was on the back. I can't tell, and it doesn't matter. No, it looks the same to me. Alright. Well, let's see. Oil port's up. Oh, oil port's on the top and the bottom. That's interesting. It's like on the motor, too. Huh. That went on there a lot easier than it came off. So we're going to put some oil onto the shaft here, because I don't think that wick is working correctly, and I think the bearing's clogged up anyways. So we'll put some oil on here. Unfortunately, that may be all the oil it gets. Okay, now we'll put some oil on the front here. Okay. Okay. That's back together. Now we need to put the screws through. Oh, that's cool. It's not even in the frame. Okay. A lot of excess varnish on here. There's some on the bottom, a blob of it on the wire. So it kind of seemed like there was some cheap manufacturing involved here. Okay, so now it's probably going to be a little bit on the stiff side. Actually, it's not too bad. Take a screwdriver and strike it a couple times. Alright, I think that's good enough. And that sound, you don't hear it on the front. It's really harsh on the back, so it's almost like it needs a new thrust washer or something. Okay. This is the back. That can go on afterwards, but there's no reason to not just put it on now. There is a reason to not put it on now. I wanted to put another drop of oil in there. Okay. I'm not going to put those on all the way tight because it's got to meet up with the front and then have a certain amount of tension on there. Alright, I think next thing to go on is going to be the grill. I need to take a little bit of polish to this and it'll be absolutely like new. Alright, so this will go on here like so. And then once that's bolted all the way down, then I can bring the back cover up to it. Okay, now I'll screw this on all the way. And it should meet up with where the guard is. Okay. Perhaps that's a bit too much. Okay. Now I think this can go on. And the two covers met up pretty evenly. Now put the blade back on. Now this is looking pretty good. It's very clean. But if you hit it with a little bit of polish, it probably would look like the back, which I guess I should have dried it differently. Very spotty now. Someday I'll polish this up. For now, this is good enough. Now the shaft is not keyed, which is kind of cheap. So when I put this on, you have to make sure that the screw is pretty tight, otherwise we're going to have an issue. I mean, not outrageously tight because it's a small blade, but it does have to be kind of firm on there. Yeah, there's definitely no key on there. I don't really like that, actually. So that's how far down I think it should be, just so the shaft comes to the surface. I wouldn't put it any further than, because you're getting close to the motor at that point. It already is kind of close to the motor. It's running pretty freely. One of these blades is a bit bent in. It's going to be this one. Let's see if we can fix that a little bit. It's hard to get these in perfect balance because they run at such a high speed. Any discrepancy is going to throw it out of line. It's actually pretty good. Alright, let's go ahead and plug this thing in and make sure that it's running correctly now. I would expect it to be, but we do need to check. It is. It's running quite nicely now. And that wasn't in the frame again. Okay, so all that's left to do now is mount it back onto the frame. It's very important that the screw heads are on the back, not those nut things, whatever you call these, because otherwise the screen won't be able to close correctly. Because the screw heads are very flat and they don't obtrude at all. These nuts will prevent the screen from closing. I should have washed this off too. Jeez. Ah, it's out in the frame again. I guess that'll be the theme for this video. Servicing a Fian outside of the video frame. I just go hand tight on these. There's no real reason to do anything more than that. Okay. It's all back together now. Now you can run it like this, but you got twice the screen there, so it's going to really be cutting down the airflow. So I always open it at least that much to use it. Okay, it's running, and these really move the air around quite a bit. These are no joke. These are probably the most powerful 7-inch window fans there are. I had somebody write in a comment recently on one of my other videos of these fans, and they said there were some complaints back in the day with the balance and the noise level of these 7-inch models. And I mean, this one feels like it's in really good balance, and it's not that loud. I thought I remember these being kind of loud, but I don't find this very loud. Of course, this is a noisy room. In the bedroom at the quiet of night, this will sound a lot louder by comparison, but I still don't think it's all that loud. I don't think this one runs quite as fast as the other one did. It sounds a little different. Feels just about as powerful, but I think the other one went a little faster. I gotta find it. I don't know where it is. Well, anyways, that'll conclude this video of servicing a Marvin Screen Fan out of the video frame. And at some point I'll do another video on this fan, and we'll polish the blades and really get it looking nice. So it really already looks pretty nice.